All right, project managers, welcome to week 9. This is one of my favorite topics in project management, and that is leadership. Hopefully you've already read the chapters in the book, and in there you've learned quite a bit about leadership. So what's the number one thing that you've taken away from the reading? What's most important about leadership? Great. So what is servant leadership? What did you learn in the chapter about servant leadership? And how does that apply to the gospel? Great, thank you. So I want to take just a moment and have you watch a TED Talk about leadership. And then I want to ask you a little bit about it. So what are your thoughts? Do you agree that those are the leadership qualities that a project manager would need in the 21st century? Tell me a little bit about that. Great, thank you. So what would you do on your project team with someone who's not performing? That happens a lot in a project team. In a project team, you do have a little bit more ability to replace people as needed, especially if they're not able to complete the job. Let me tell you about a project I was on one time. Had a senior designer who was on this project, and he just couldn't seem to get the work done. He'd set deadlines. We'd have him as part of the schedule. I'd constantly follow up, and it got to the point where the client was getting really anxious, and I was getting anxious as the project manager. Well, we were down to just the last couple of days, and this senior designer had been working on this thing for 6 weeks, and I was desperate. I felt like we weren't getting anywhere. He'd done a little bit of work, but we weren't going to make our goal. I asked him how much longer it would be, and he said 3 more weeks. It just wouldn't work for the client. I ended up having to go and find another option in a project. That's what we have to do. In this case, I found a younger designer, and this is not at all based on age, just on capability, I guess. And he was able to come in. It's funny because he was actually getting married that Saturday. He came in and in 3 days was able to deliver a high quality product that met the client's expectation and was able to do what it took the other guy 6 weeks, and he still needed 3 more. Ended up doing it in 2 days. Ultimately, that designer ended up leaving the team because in a project team you need to be able to get things done and get things accomplished. But what could I have done differently given that situation to help that team member? Thanks for your thoughts. Okay, so let me talk to you about just a couple of things that are coming up. This week, you're going to complete your team project. This is proof number 3, and so you should do the thing that you plan to do in proof number 2, and that will complete your work on this particular team. Now, coming up on Friday this week, after Friday, which you may be watching this video already after Friday, you'll have the opportunity to select into your new team. I've looked at your project proposals for the last project of the semester, and I've selected 5 that I feel meet the criteria, could easily be completed within the time frame we have, and that I think will be a lot of fun. These were your ideas. So get onto the project selection board and sign up for one of these. Space is limited, so first come, first serve. Make sure that you get on there, and again, that's after Friday this week. And that's Friday the 13th this week. Now, from now until April 1st, you're going to be planning the project. Now, you could even begin to do some initial stages, but you should plan to carry out your project during the first couple of weeks of April. So after April 1st is when you'll turn in your final project documentation. You'll need to keep track of any changes that need to happen on your project, as you'll need to submit a change order for any changes that happen. And then you'll need to turn all of your final documentation in by April 14th, which is the end of the semester. So those are your final deliverables for the week. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you participate in the team chat as well as the class chat this week. And I look forward to seeing what you did on proof number 3.